in the 4th and the 5th shlokas of Laghu Vakya Vritti, the teacher is helping us to analyze our own 3 states which we go through every day: the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. So he is asking us to inquire into and investigate into who exactly is the one who is aware of, who is conscious of, or who is experiencing whatever he is experiencing in these 3 states: the waking, the dream, and the deep sleep state. And then he told us, the teacher helped us to understand that in the waking state and in the dream state, it is not the pure consciousness that is transacting, but it is the reflected consciousness that is transacting. The reflected consciousness, the Chidabhasa, which is nothing but a reflection of pure consciousness in the reflecting medium called the mind. In front of the pure consciousness is this reflecting medium, the mind, and therefore the reflection takes place. Why? It is the nature of the reflecting medium to reflect. So that is called as Chidabhasa, the reflecting consciousness, and that is the one which takes on to itself the doership bhava attitude and the enjoyership attitude, the karta and the bhokta, the jivatma or the individual. We can call it even as the ego. The ego is the one which is functioning, which is transacting, which is very, very predominantly available for all of us in all its vyavaharas in the waking and the dream state. So we have 2 states now, the waking and the dream, and therein we know who is functioning. The Chidabhasa is functioning, the reflected consciousness is functioning there. Then the teacher goes to the next state, the 3rd state, the deep sleep state. In the deep sleep state, we know that the equipment all have gone off to rest. The mind is resting, the body of course is resting, the mind is resting, the intellect is resting. So the gross and the subtle bodies are not available at all now in the deep sleep. They have gone off to rest. So when they have gone off to rest, the reflecting medium is not there in front of the pure consciousness to reflect it. But then there is one more sharira over there, the karana sharira or the causal body, which is there just in front of the pure consciousness. So what does pure consciousness do? We already know it is of the nature of illumination. It illuminates. Whatever is there in front of it, it will illuminate. If there is a reflecting medium, it will get reflected. But this Ajnanamaya Karana Sharira is not a reflecting medium. Therefore, there won't be any reflection. So all that the pure consciousness does it, the other 2 equipment are not there, the gross and the subtle. The causal equipment, the Karana Sharira is there in front of it, it just illumines it. Why does it illuminate? It is the nature of pure consciousness to illumine everything. Why does the sun illumine everything around it, illumine our whole world? It is its nature to illumine. It is its integral characteristic, it is its property, it is its dharma. Similarly, the pure consciousness finds in front of it this karana sharira, this causal body, and it illumines it. That's all is away. So that means we are all very, very close to the pure consciousness. Then why is it that in our deep sleep we are not able to experience it, comprehend and apprehend the pure consciousness which we are all supposed to be? Because of this causal body over there. What is it made up of? We already know that it is nothing but a sheath around us, a veiling around us. Ajnanamayam it is. It is full of ignorance. And therefore that is the one which prevents us from knowing ourselves. It's as though there is something between us and pure consciousness. Nothing is there, and therefore we are unable to experience ourselves as to who we truly are because of this veiling, because of this shielding, because of the ignorance. And therefore we say, I do not know, I know nothing. But that I do not know or I know nothing will not come to us, that realization will not come to us when we are in deep sleep. It will come to us only when we wake up. Only when we wake up and somebody asks us, what was your experience in the deep sleep? We say, I know nothing. I do not know. The I do not know is nothing but ignorance. Ignorance means I do not know. It is nothing. We never asserted and said, I know. Over there. And also this Karana Sharira is called as, when we come to the koshas, Pancha koshas, it is known as, or it is designated as Anandamaya kosha. Why is it called as Anandamaya kosha? Because all of us, irrespective of whatever problems and troubles and tragedies, miseries we are going through in our waking state of experience, when we go off to deep sleep, all of us are in the same state of happiness. It's not a positive state of happiness, but it is a negative state of happiness. Why? Agitations are not there, anxieties are not there, troubles are not there, tragedies are not there. So it is not there. In that sense, we are happy. So therefore, that Karana Sharira is also called as Anandamaya Sharira. One thing is, we are very, very close to Brahman because we have moved inward from the gross body to the subtle body, and we have come to the Karana Sharira. And just behind it is pure consciousness. So therefore, we are very, very close to the Brahman, the pure consciousness, which is nothing but an embodiment of Ananda or bliss. And also in deep sleep, all our experiences, all over the world, all of us, the only experience is, I was happy, I slept well, we say. None of us will get up and then say, I did not sleep well. If we say, I did not sleep well, that means lots of, we were constantly getting up in between, or there were lots of dreams that were disturbing us. It must be like that. But in deep sleep, all the experience of all of us universally is, I slept well. Happiness over there. So therefore, this third subtlemost body in us, or the kosha layer in us, the sheath in us, is called as Anandamaya kosha, or it is called as the Karana Sharira. So therefore, now we know that reflected consciousness or Chidabhasa actively participates in two states, in the waking state and in the dream state. Waking state in the external world, dream state in the internal world, inner world is there. Then, so that's the reflected consciousness. Pure consciousness, when is it very, very vividly available for us? It is available for us in the deep sleep state. But why are we not aware of it? We are not aware of it because ignorance has come and overwhelmed us completely. It is a state of I do not know. So therefore, this is what the teacher told us explained to us in the fourth shloka. In the fifth shloka over there, we can ask the teacher a question. Sir, in the deep sleep state, yes, I am very close to pure consciousness. Pure consciousness is there for us. We may not be able to experience it, but it is there. That's the only factor that is there. There is no reflected consciousness there. There is no doer over there. Doer is not there, enjoyer is not there, the Jivatma, the ego is not there. What about in the waking state? In the waking state, can we experience the pure consciousness? The teacher told us in the fifth shloka, the first half which we went through last time. He said yes, it is available in the pure, it is available for experiencing even in the waking state, provided we make our inner equipment completely go into a state of quietude. A state of quietude means no thoughts there at all. Not even a ripple of a thought should be there. When we go for this Kailasa Manasa Yatra, that lake over there, which is quite close to the Kailasa, is called as Manasa Sarovar. Sarovar means a lake. Manas means mana, mind. So the Manasa Sarovara represents for us our own mental lake. And when we go over there for a yatra, we would like to have a darshan, a glimpse of the Kailasa, which is a little far away from from the Manasa Sarovara. Want a glimpse of the Kailas Parvat in the Manasa lake. It is possible to see it. The reflection of Kailas in Manasa is possible, provided the waters are still. The entire lake, the sheet of water, uppermost layer of water, there shouldn't be even a ripple over there. When will there be no ripple? When there is no breeze or wind over there. So people wait to have darshan of Kailas in Manasa. So when there is no cross breeze over there, or the wind, the breeze hitting the upper surface of the waters of Manasa, when the waters are completely still, and also the water is extremely pure, unpolluted, pure it is, then we will be able to see the reflection of Kailasa in the Manasa Sarovar. But for some reason, if there is breeze over there, or if the Manasa gets polluted, some impurities, then even if the reflection is there, the reflection will not be a true reflection. It will be a dim, dull reflection. And if the waves are hit, if the waters are hit by the wind, ripples will be formed, will be created, small waves will be created. Therefore, the entire upper surface of the Manasa is totally disturbed. The reflection of Kailasa will get disturbed over there. So again, there won't be a true reflection of Kailasa which we will be able to see in the Manasa. Same thing over here. So the teacher is telling us, yes, jagaret api, even in your waking state, yes, you can come to apprehend and comprehend that pure consciousness that is there just behind our equipment. Provided, he says, dhi tushnim bhavaha. Tushnim bhavaha, we've already gone through it. The inner equipment must be in a total state of quietude. No thoughts whatsoever at all should be there. So when thoughts are disturbances, thoughts are like waves. The wave gets created, then it increases, it stays for some time and then disappears. Similarly also, the thought gets created in us. We can sustain it and maintain it for a sufficient time interval. Then afterwards, slowly that particular thought will die away, like how the wave dies away. Every wave has a beginning and an end. Similarly, every thought in us. The thing is, so many thoughts come to us rushing one after the other. So we are not aware of all this. So every thought has got a birth date and it has got a death date also. It gets created, it stays in us as long as we strengthen it and support it and nurture it and nourish it and maintain it. But when we find that this thought is not going to serve our purpose, we let go of it. When we let go of the thought dies away. So every thought is like a ripple over there. So absolutely no thoughts should be there. The present thought has just disappeared into the past. So it is no more there in the present. The future thought has not yet entered into the present. It's still away. Then where are we in? We are in a state of absolute quietude where there are no thoughts at all whatsoever. We are in a thought-less state. There the teacher says, sure, you can experience the pure consciousness that is just behind. Even in the waking state, we can experience it. That's where we had stopped last time. The second part of the same shloka which we had to take up. Now one more question will come to us, or a doubt will come to us. When we are in a state of quietude, we have understood, intellectually we have understood that we will be able to comprehend and apprehend the pure consciousness. Because it will illumine what? It will illumine the state of quietude for us. So very powerful, very strong, still it's a reflection. But mind, no thoughts actually means no mind. So when there is no mind, there can't even be a reflection. The teacher is coming down to our level and explaining all these things. When there are no thoughts, there is no mind. When there is no mind, there is no reflecting medium at all. So it is not even a very strong, true reflection of pure consciousness. It is pure consciousness itself that a person will experience in the waking state, is what he is telling us. So this much we have understood. Now a doubt comes to us, because most of the time, not most of the time, all of the time, we are in the realm of thoughts. Where is a time in which we are not in the realm of thoughts? It's only in the deep sleep that there are no thoughts. Why? No mind over there. The mind has completely gone off to rest. So when the mind is totally resting, that's why we say deep sleep. It is not disturbed sleep. So in deep sleep, the mind is totally not available for us. Therefore, absolutely there are no thoughts over there at all. Therefore, pure consciousness alone was shining over there. But it was illumining our ignorance. So similarly, in our waking state also, the teacher told us, yes, it is possible for us to, through spiritual sadhana, take ourselves to a state or a stage wherein within our mind, or our mind is totally devoid of all thoughts. Is it possible? Yes, he says it is possible. So when our mind is completely devoid of all thoughts, the pure consciousness alone shines over there. That is the state of realization. But we know most of the time that we are in the realm of thoughts. The moment we get up in the morning, we don't even waste 1/1,000,000th of a second. 1 second itself is a short time interval. 1/1,000,000th of that fast. The moment we have, in fact, we have not even woken up completely. Half asleep, we are still sleepy. Immediately thoughts have started coming to us. The tea or the coffee which we usually have in the morning, or the newspaper, or whatever it is, our profession, career, everything comes rushing in. What comes rushing in? The thoughts come rushing in. So where is and then till we go off to sleep, we are only moving from one thought or thoughts to thoughts. It is not even one thought to another. So we are playing about only in the realm of thoughts. It's so dense. So the quality of thoughts is changing continuously. The quantity of thoughts is changing continuously. Sometimes more thoughts in our mind in a given time interval. Sometimes less thoughts. So quality is changing, quantity is changing, and the direction from which all the thoughts are coming to us, that also keeps changing. Now spiritual thoughts, now materialistic thoughts, now these type of thoughts, now those type of thoughts. But we know we are in the realm of thoughts. Totally we are in the realm of thoughts. It seems like there is not even a split moment, wherein we can be devoid of thoughts in the waking state. At that point of time, sir, what do you have to say about the pure consciousness is what we as students want to ask the teacher. The teacher knows that question will come. And therefore he is saying over here, reflected consciousness or Chidabhasa is the one which is functioning in the waking state. We know that. The moment we get up in the morning till we go off to sleep, it is only Chidabhasa. It is a doer in us who is functioning. That's very, very clear to all of us. When the doer is functioning over there, what is it that is functioning? The Chidabhasa is functioning, or the reflected consciousness is functioning. So therefore the reflected consciousness, it says I know. When we as an individual say I know. When do we say I know? When the reflected consciousness in us illumines some areas for us. Supposing there is a science student in front of us. Do you know physics? Do you know mathematics? The student will say yes. What does it mean? For her, those areas of knowledge, science, mathematics, physics, etc. Those areas of knowledge have been illumined by the reflected consciousness. Therefore, the student will say, I know mathematics, I have the knowledge of mathematics, I have the knowledge of physics, etc. There is another one also. Opposite, I do not know. It is the Chidabhasa or the reflected consciousness, or we ourselves who say, I do not know. It's never always I know, I know, I know. In fact, our I know is very less compared to the I know. I do not know. So the same student, if we ask her, what about commerce? She will say, I do not know. Or I have no knowledge of commerce, which means the reflected consciousness did not illumine for her that area of knowledge. What area? Commerce. Reflected consciousness, can it illumine? Of course it can illumine. That's why we say, I know. So when I say I know, when there is a key lying on the table and the room is completely dark and somebody asks us, where is the key? We won't be able to find it. Why? The room is totally in the dark. But the moment we switch on the light, in the light that we have switched on, we will be clearly able to see where the key is. How was that possible? Because the light illumined for us the key. And therefore, we were able to find it. So whenever we use the word illumine, it means knowing. So the reflected consciousness itself illumined for us this area and of knowledge, and therefore we say I know. The same reflected consciousness, for whatever reason, it did not come across, or that area of knowledge did not come in front of it for it to illumine, and therefore we say those areas of knowledge I do not know. It did not illumine. How did this reflected consciousness get the property of illumining or knowing? Because of the pure consciousness just behind it. We've already seen the pure consciousness. What is its nature? Its nature is Sakshi. Sakshi means knowing. A Sakshi knows everything. That's why we call the person as a witness. So it knows. It illumines. Earlier we have seen in the I think it was in the second verse that we went through the characteristics of the pure consciousness. It is of the nature of light itself. It is of the nature of illumining. Means it's an illuminator and therefore it illumines. Illuminator, not like the sunlight or the moonlight or the fire's light. Illumining means knowing, becoming aware of, becoming conscious of. So the pure consciousness, when it is of the nature of illumining, it's got that property of illumining, it hands over its property to the reflected consciousness also. The reflected consciousness takes in a part of the properties of the pure consciousness. So if pure consciousness has got the nature of illumining, reflected consciousness also has the property of illumining. Provided, but it will illumine illumine areas that come in front of it. So this I am aware of, or I know this. Why? Because that area of knowledge came in front of the reflected consciousness. Therefore we say I know. But commerce never came in front of us. We didn't go into that stream. So that area of knowledge, when it does not come in front of the reflected consciousness, how will it illuminate for us? It may be illuminating it for a commerce student, not for us. Therefore we say I do not know. So for us, therefore it is I know, I do not know. Who is the one in us who says I know, I do not know? Two opposites are there. In this I know and I do not know, there's a big list over there. I know this, I know this, I know this, I know this. And also to what extent we know also is going to change. When we are in the first year, we know a little bit of physics. Then second year a little more. Third year a little more, advanced state. So again there is so much of change over there. But still we say I know. So I know this, I know this, I know this. And to the extent I know also keeps varying. Here over here I do not know, I do not know, I do not know. That list is huge. I do not know anything of computer, we can say. For a person who has never handled a computer. But a person who handles the computer, yes, I know everything about it. So we are very clear. We operate in two areas. Who is the one who operates? The reflected consciousness. The Chidabhasa, or we as an individual, small I. It is a small I in all of us. Which has got a name, a form, we have a name, we have a form. All the status that is attached to us, our qualities, all of that individual Jivatma is what we are talking about here. So it operates in two ways. One is I know and one is I do not know. Now, therefore, and we are now talking about a waker only. But then behind this reflected consciousness, we should not forget that the pure consciousness is there. Just because we are not experiencing it, it doesn't mean it is not there. The reflected consciousness itself has existence because of the pure consciousness. If the pure consciousness was not there in the waking state, the reflected consciousness also is not there. And afterward, there is no I know and there is no I do not know also. We may not be able to experience the pure consciousness. We may not be able to understand it, we may not be able to experience it, but still it is there. It is because of pure consciousness that the reflected consciousness has come in. And then it says, I know and I do not know. So where is pure consciousness absent? In the waking state. It is not absent at all. It is very much present over there. As much as it is present in the deep sleep state. What about the dream state? Dream state and waking state, our masters combine both of them. For them it is one state only. They say the waking state is also a dream state. A long, long dream. A long, long dream is the waking state, according to them. Why? In the waking, we are dealing with the external world. In the dream state, we are dealing with inner world. That's all. Transactions almost same or similar. One is an external transaction, one is an internal transaction. Of course, the space-time measurements are different in the waking state and in the dream state. So to that extent, they are different. But both of them are almost the same because our transactions are going on over there. We are in a realm of thoughts. And thought is changing. So we are in a realm of changing thoughts, both in the waking state and in the dream state. So they combine the two of them. That is why the teacher has not spoken about exclusively the dream state over here. So when he talks about the waking state, dream state included in it. So therefore we know now we are a Karta, we are a Chidabhasa. It's a Chidabhasa who has got a name. Whatever name we have got during our Namakarana ceremony, that is what is Chidabhasa. That is what is the reflected consciousness. And that is what knows and says, I know. And there are many areas it doesn't know and we say, I do not know. But the teacher says, just behind this name, Nama, name, Rupa, form, we all have characteristics and qualities and tendencies, Guna. Just behind it all is the pure consciousness. It is of the nature of illumination and therefore it lent its illumining power to the reflection, which is the reflected consciousness. Therefore it knows and therefore it says, I know, and it says, I do not know. But behind it, pure consciousness is there. So therefore, in all the three states, that is what the teacher is trying to point out to us. In all the three states, the waking, the dream and the deep sleep state, pure consciousness is there. It can never ever go off into non-existence. But the reflected consciousness, the Karta, the individuality, that is available only in the waking and in the dream. It's not available in the deep sleep. Therefore, the Chidabhasa or the reflected consciousness cannot be the truth, cannot be real. Why? It doesn't exist in one state. But we know we exist because from deep sleep we come back. How can we be a person who exists in one state or exists in two states and doesn't exist in three states? In the third state, it is absurd. Therefore, they say the reflected consciousness is apparent. It's just a reflection. It's not true. It is not real. In the sense, when they say it is the truth and that it is a sattvastu or real, it means it should be available for us in all the three states. But we know the reflected consciousness or the Chidabhasa is not available in the deep sleep state and therefore it is unreal. In that sense, it is unreal. But the pure consciousness, Whether we know or whether we do not know, whether we experience it or whether we don't experience it, it is there in all the three states. In the deep sleep state, in the dream state, and in the waking state. So little more to go into it a little more deeper. When the Chidabhasa or the reflected consciousness says, I know and I do not know, somebody can ask us, how do you know that you know computers? No, I know. Let's say we have gone for an interview to join a job where computers have to be handled. We know how to handle it. I've done this course, I've done this course, I've done this course. Somebody can get up and ask us, how do you know that you know? Just to make us understand, that's all. How do you know? Of course, sir, I know. What do you know? Then we will say, I know that I know how to handle computers. 2 times we have used the word I know. I know that I know how to handle computers. So computers is there on the other side, knowledge of computer. Who has got the knowledge of computer? It's the doer, the Chidabhasa or the reflected the me, small I, which knows. So just behind that, I know computers. Before that, no computers, that I know, it's small I. I know how to handle computers. Who is saying it? It's a small I who is saying it. But then we have said, I know that I know how to use computers. So on the extreme side, on this side, which is that I that is asserting and saying, I know that I know how to handle computer. This is the capital I. The capital I is saying, I know what? That small I knows how to handle the computers. Supposing somebody doesn't know how to handle computers and we say, I do not know how to handle computers, I have never done a course. Sure, I have not done. I know. How do you know? How do you know that you do not know? The negation over there. Earlier it was I know how to handle computers. Now it is I do not know how to handle computers. Just one example. We can use it for everything, for all transactions in our life. So I do not know how to handle computers. We say, I do not know, I, small I there, the doer in me, the person me who has been given a name by my parents, is the one who is saying, I do not know how to handle computers. Again, somebody can ask us, how do you know that you do not know? Maybe simply you are saying, maybe you want to avoid, in the context, you want to avoid this work and therefore you are saying, I do not know how to handle computer. Are you sure you do not know how to handle? Then what will we do? We will double assert. We will say, I know that I do not know how to handle computers. I know that I know is capital I know that I do not know. Small I there is coming. It's the small I that knows or doesn't know. For it, 2 possibilities are there. I know and I do not know. The assertion and the negation are for the reflected consciousness over there. For the Jivatma or for the Karta, the doer, there are 2 possibilities. I know, I do not know. I understand, I don't understand. I want this, I don't want this. Extended duality. That duality, dual pair of opposites there, assertion and negation, that will multiply itself to become plurality and multiplicity in our lives, which therefore we say life is so complicated, life is so complex. We say all this. But just behind the I know how to handle computers and I do not know how to handle computer, there was somebody in us who said, I know, in both the cases. We never say, I do not know that I do not know how to. We never say that. We will always say, I know that I know how to handle the computer and I know that I do not know how to handle computers. So on that side is are 2 versions. So the 2 versions, it is not 1, it is 2. Other than the 1. Other than the 1 can be 2 and then the 2 can multiply. It is all for the small I. It is all for the Karta. It is for the reflected consciousness. It is for the Chidabhasa. But just behind it, There was somebody who said, I know for both. In both the cases, there's somebody inside us who said, I know. I know that I know, and I know that I do not know. For that I know, there is no opposite. Like I said, we will never say, I do not know that I do not know. Not possible at all. I know. Which means it is one without a second. There are no two there at all. So when there is no two, there is no question of the two multiplying itself to become more than two. It is only one. For everything we'll only say, I know. That's it. I know that I know. And I know also, and I also know that I do not know. On that side, all the I knows will be different things. I know mathematics, I know this, I know that, I know this, everything. And here, I do not know many things. I do not know commerce, I do not know accounts, I do not know this, I do not know home science, I do not know sociology, psychology. So many things. A recipe it can be. Do you know how to make this particular recipe? Laddu. I know how to make. Do you know how to make barfi? No, I do not know how to make barfi. So again somebody can ask, how do you know? We say, I know that I know how to make laddus. We stress over there. I know that I know how to make laddus. You can try it out. Experiment. How do you know that you do not know barfi? Maybe you are just, putting it aside because you will have to do it. So, no, I know that I do not know how to make barfi. So there are two possibilities. Here there is only one. It can never say, I do not know. On this side, it will only say, I know, I know, I know. Who is the I know in us? It's not that somebody is loudly telling us from inside. We are aware of it. That is why they call the pure consciousness as awareness. I am aware that I know how to make laddus. I am aware that I do not know how to make barfi. And there is no two. Means it's a one without a second. And for everything it will only say, I know, I know, I know, I know. So it becomes changeless, it becomes eternal for everything. Whether it is this year or whether it is after another 2 years, same thing we'll be using. The logic. For everything we'll say, I know that I know, and I also know that I do not know. It will never change. Changeless, eternal is this factor. So that factor in us, which never goes into assertion and negation. So only with respect to assertion, there is negation gets validity. With respect to negation, assertion gets validity. With respect to this, opposite is there. With respect to this, its opposite is there. So assertion and negation. But over here, there is no, though we say I am asserting, assertion means negation must be already also there. No. So this I know, this first capital I know, we can't even call it an assertion. Then what is it? It is just there. That is what our masters want us to first understand intellectually. Then we have to put it into our sadhana, in our contemplation, and try to realize it. Because where is it? It is not far away from us. It is not in Kailasa. It is not in Vaikuntha. They are also not cities or regions far away from us above the clouds. They are all there inside us. That state of pure consciousness itself is Mathura. Itself is Ayodhya, Mathuram. State of bliss, Anandamaya, Satchit Ananda. Itself is Ayodhya. A plus Yuddha. Yuddha means conflict. Conflict means agitation, anxiety, thoughts. No thought state is Ayodhya. Where is it? It's there in us. Where is Vaikuntha? That which is a state of it's a flawless state. Absolute perfect state is Vaikuntha. Where is it? It's there in us. Why? Pure consciousness is there in us. Kailasha. Ka always represents bliss, Ananda. So the state of absolute bliss also is there in us. So what is it? It's that pure consciousness that is there in us. So therefore the teacher has pointed out, whether we are in a state of quietude or whether we are going through thoughts like how we all go through normally, yes, the pure consciousness may not be available for us for our experience, for our comprehension, for our apprehension, because of all these veils or these sheaths around us. It's sort of veiling the pure consciousness from us. But the fact is, it is there. That is why we were able to say, I know. And to say I know, I should be there first. So I am. This is very beautiful. Even in the construction of the English sentence, when anybody asks us, your name, we say I am so and so. That I am, not even am, we can remove away the am also. But the am validates our existence. I am, means I am there. Who is there? I is there. Which I? Capital I is there. So I am, then the reflected consciousness, its qualities and its characteristics will come in. The Chidabhasa, which was named by our parents. So then we say I am, whatever our name is. What is your age? Again, I am this many years old. So that this many years old belongs to the reflected consciousness. But I am is there. Without the I am, all the other parts of the sentence become null and void. Our name, our everything. What is your qualification? I am. Whatever we are, a science student, an art student, a commerce student, their changes will be there. But I am is there. That I am can never ever go into non-existence. It is ever of the nature of existence. That is why they call it as absolute existence. Sat, the Sat aspect of Satchitananda. Because it exists, it allows other things to exist. Therefore, then we are able to say, yes, I know this, I do not know this. So, Sat, it exists. And then it is of the nature of knowing, Chit part. And what are its characteristics? When we go over there, it's a state of total quietude, nothing over there. Then what is the experience of that Sat and Chit? It is Ananda. And therefore we have that Sat, Chit, Ananda being put together, three aspects over there. All the three of them are not separate. All of them actually are one, indicating to us that one without a second. But the teacher comes to our level and explains it out in three different ways. Taking three aspects and explaining it to us so that we are able to understand. So therefore, in the two shloka, the fourth and the fifth shloka, we now know that reflected consciousness is available only in the waking and in the dream state. The pure consciousness is available in all the three states. It can never ever be denied. Anytime it can never be denied. That is called as the definition of truth. When we say God is truth, what is the meaning of God is truth? If we are, they'll say truth is God. Now we have not understood what is truth, we have not understood what is God also. So when our masters say God is truth, or when we read in some scripture, or when we hear it somewhere, that they say Paramatma is Sattvastu, or God is truth, what does that truth mean? Truth is that which can never ever be denied in Trikala Abhadita Vastu it is. It can never ever be denied in all the three periods of time, past, present and future. So it was in all our transactions in the past. Therefore we were able to go through all those transactions. It is there in the present now, how much ever we may deny it. A person may say, I am not a believer, I am a non-believer. But to say I am a non-believer, he has to say I am. So his believing or our believing or his non-believing is our intellectual conclusion for whatever reason. But I am is there. When we say I am a believer, so one person says, another person says I am a non-believer, that believer and non-believer is their intellectual conclusions that they have arrived at for whatever reason. But just behind it is I am. So even to say I am a non-believer of God, we need God's grace, the grace of pure consciousness, to be able to say I am a non-believer. Because we say I am. Who is that I? Have we ever even investigated into it? When we say I am, small I is a non-believer, but the small I has got no reality at all. It's an apparent existence. It's only a reflection of who we are. And the reflection is telling us, I don't believe. In what? In that because of which it is existing. The reflected image exists in the reflecting medium because of the original, the real. And the reflected image now considers itself independent. It arrogates to itself so many things, and it says, I don't have anything to do with the real. I am the real. Its very existence and its very survival is because of the real behind it, the pure consciousness behind it. So when we come to think about it, we know it's so ridiculous for any of us to even say, I am a believer. I am a non-believer. I am a non-believer of what? I don't believe in whom? I don't believe in that factor because of which I am existing and because of which I am even saying these words that I don't believe in. It becomes absurd. So I am is that factor which is very, very important. Capital I over there. That is what the teacher pointed out to us. So therefore there is no question of the capital I ever going into non-exist. Like I said, in all the three periods of time it is there, in the past, in the present and in the future. In all the three states it exists. In the waking state, yes, the pure consciousness is there. In the dream state, pure consciousness is there. Because of that, waker exists. Because of the pure consciousness, the dreamer exists. And they are doing their vyavahara in the external world and in the internal world. Pure consciousness alone exists even when we went off to deep sleep also, where our equipment were not available for us. So there is no point, never ever a time where that pure consciousness does not exist. It exists in all the three states. It exists in all the three periods of time. Such a factor is called as truth. Such a factor is called as Sattvastu. So now the teacher has indicated to us. Now still we can have a little confusion, and therefore the teacher over here gives an illustration. Example. An example from something which is very, very familiar to us. Daily, whatever we are encountering. From that he takes an example and he illustrates this with this example so that it becomes clear to all of us. 6th shloka he says over here, Bhagni tapta jalam tapa yuktam dehasya tapakam chidbhasya dis tadha bhasa yuktanyam bhasayet tatha. So one example has been given over here to us. And what is it? Vagni. Vagni means fire. We know fire, all of us have seen it. Every day we are handling it in the kitchen and in the lamp when we light fire. Agni Bhagavan is there. What is its intrinsic quality? Its intrinsic quality is warmth, heat. Light also is there. Here we are talking about heat aspect. So Vagni, fire, we know burns. Anything that comes in contact with it, we know it burns. So Vagni Tapt Jalam. Jalam means water. So there are two things which have been taken over here. One is fire and one is water. What is the intrinsic nature of fire, because of which we call fire fire? It is its heat capacity. Its capacity to burn and reduce everything. Burning to different extents. When we touch something hot, that also has got fire content, but then we just feel the warmth. So the degree of burning can be different. Any object completely we put it into fire, it will reduce it to ash. So it all depends over the intensity of the warmth. Warmth because of the fire over there. So fire, Vagni, has got this intrinsic property over there of heating up things, burning up things. Water on the other side doesn't have this as its intrinsic property. Fire by its nature is not hot. We can make it hot, we can make it cold, but water is water. So its intrinsic quality is not of heat. heating tattva, heating aspect, heat aspect is not there in water, heat aspect is there in fire. So two different things we have taken. One has got heat, one doesn't have heat. Now what do? We put them together. So we bring water in the vicinity of fire, means warm up the water, heat up the water. Vagni tapta jalam. So when fire heats up water, what will it do? It will hand over its property to water. What was its property? Heat. So the water which was at normal temperature, which was not heated up till now starts getting heated up, warmed up. Slowly its temperature will go up. Why? Because of its association or its contact with fire. So when water comes in contact with fire, fire lends its property for the time being, its property completely to water, and therefore the water gets heated up. And that water, hot water, boiling water, let's say we have taken boiling water. How did the water come to that boiling point, 100 degrees centigrade? Because of the fire. What did the fire do? Fire first of all in contact with the water. If we don't bring them in contact, the properties will not get shared. So we have to first of all bring these two in contact with each other. The fire and water must be in contact with each other. Only then transfer of property can take place. So when fire and water are brought together, fire transfers its heat to water. And what happens to the water? The water will gain the property of fire and it will become hot. How hot has it become? Supposing we boil water and make it go up to 100 degrees centigrade. And then if we touch the water, supposing somebody says, I will touch the water. Anyway, water's property is not that of heat, that of fire. It should not burn my fingers. And if we put our finger into the boiling water, of course it will get burnt. And we can't say fire is somewhere else, water is somewhere else. How did the finger get burnt? The finger got burnt because the fire's heat aspect has gone into water. So the water has taken its properties. And what fire would have done to us if we had put our finger in fire, the same thing water will do to us if we put our finger into hot water. So therefore, what is the conclusion? The fire has transferred all its properties to water, and the water has done whatever the fire would have done to us. Fire would have burnt the finger if we bring our finger in contact with it. Same thing has happened when we bring our finger in contact with the boiling water. The water has done what the fire would have done. Why? Because it borrowed the property of fire. Similarly, the teacher says so. If we have understood this, every day we are working with water in the kitchen. So if we have understood it, same way the teacher says. Similarly, he says, pure consciousness is there. The reflecting medium was there. And when the pure consciousness comes in front of the reflecting medium, there is the reflected consciousness over there. But it doesn't stop there. It's not just the reflected consciousness. Can it do what the pure consciousness can do? Yes, it can do. Why? Because it takes on the properties of the pure consciousness. What are the properties of pure consciousness? To know. That is its property, to know, sakshi, to illuminate. When something gets illuminated, we become aware of, we come to know of it. So these are the properties of pure consciousness. It hands over its properties to the reflected consciousness. Therefore, the reflected consciousness also can do whatever the pure consciousness can do. What could it do? It was that which knows everything. Similarly, it was that which illumines everything. Similarly, the reflected consciousness also is able to know everything. It is able to illumine everything. It illumines our areas of knowledge. And therefore, we say, I know. It illumines for us our areas of ignorance also. And therefore, we say, I do not know. So once we have understood this example, things now become very, very clear to us. So the pure consciousness has these two properties of illumining and knowing. It hands over both its properties to the reflected consciousness. Therefore, the reflected consciousness, the I, small I in us, the Karta in us, it's able to illumine whatever is there in front of it. So it's all like one behind the other or one in front of the other. That we will do in the next class. So therefore, the reflected consciousness now, which has borrowed the properties of the pure consciousness, it does exactly what the pure consciousness does. What is it? It illumines for us, and therefore we say, I know. It illumines our areas of ignorance also, and therefore we say, I do not know. If it had not illumined for us our areas of ignorance, we would never have been able to say, I do not know. So it's made things easy for us. We know what we know, and also we know what we do not know. But there is behind the reflected consciousness, the pure consciousness, which says, I know everything. In the case of the small I, there is an assertion and there is a negation. But illumination is there. It illumines the I know, and it illumined also the I do not know, both the areas. That property it got from pure consciousness, but the pure consciousness only knows. There is never ever I do not know. It is a realm of absolute knowledge. Absolute means never changing. Opposite of absolute is relative. Einstein's theory of relativity means everything changes. In space-time, everything changes. So that pure consciousness is not a relative consciousness. The reflecting consciousness is the relative consciousness. This is absolute consciousness, Chit. And what is it doing? It's only knowing and knowing and knowing and knowing. So it knows everything. It knows everything that everybody is doing. It knows what good we do also, and it knows also what all wrong things we are doing in our life. Everything it silently illumines for us. It's a witness. So therefore it is called as the knowing principle in all of us. So capital I is there. I'm just winding up. Capital I know. And then just in front of it is the reflected consciousness. Because of the reflecting medium. What does it say? Small I. Small I says I know, and small I also says I do not know. So I know what I know, and I also know what I do not know. Now the teacher will next take pure consciousness is there, the reflected consciousness is there, in front of it. Is there anything in front of the reflected consciousness? Because reflected consciousness means pure consciousness reflected in the subtle equipment, in the mind. Mind is subtle equipment. There is a gross equipment just in front of it. Our physical apparatus, our physical upadhi, or our physical equipment. And what is this physical equipment? Mamsamayam, the teacher already told us. It's formed of organs. It has got limbs. There are the Jnanendriyas and there are the Karmendriyas. Jnanendriyas, organs of perception, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, through which we receive from the world outside. So reflected consciousness, in front of it is the physical body, but the physical body has got all these things. It's not just something inert like a stone over there. This physical body has got eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, which are all actively, they're dynamic. And in front of the Jnanendriyas or the organs of perception, what is there? Sense organs of perception, there are sense objects. They're the world outside. All lined up like this. Whenever any event happens or anything, we say, oh, this happened, that happened. But then for us to say this happened or that happened or whatever has happened, there are so many things which are working all in coordination with each other. They're all so beautifully aligned with each other. So the reflected consciousness, now we know, and in front of it is the physical body. The physical body, though it is inert, it's got all these organs. Who is the one who is making these organs function? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, hands, legs, speech, etc. They all belong to the inert. They're all inert material, matter. How do they get the dynamism? To do whatever they are doing, here, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. And what is it that they are seeing? Objects. What is it that they are hearing? Sound. Sense, hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, touching. So there is a world out there, external world over there. Objects are sense objects, we call it. Vishaya vastus are there just in front of the physical body. Just in front of the sense organs are the Vishaya vastu. So now the teacher has to tell us how all these things happen in us. When we say, I saw this, or I experienced this, when we are able to say that, what is that happens? There's some chain of events happening. What is it that is happening? How does it happen? Is what the teacher tells us. And who is functioning over there? Is it small I? Is it capital I? Or is it both of them participating with each other? Participating together? And if they are participating over there, who is the one over there? Who gets tied down to everything, and therefore we say I got caught in samsara. Do both of them get tied down in samsara, or there is something else behind it? One gets caught and the other one completely disassociates itself. Is it like that? So many questions can come to us. It is answered in the next shlok, which we will take up in the next class.